Today we are going to be going over and breaking down John Mayer's amp rig from the Blue Note Tokyo solo show performances. On your screen right now is this killer shot of the stage with John's pedal boards as well as the amp rig. And speaking of the pedal boards, if you're curious as to what pedals John was using for the Blue Note Tokyo performances, I've already made a video breaking down the rig with just some amazing photos we've gotten of the pedal boards. So if you want to check out that video after you're done watching this one, it'll be linked in the description down below and carded on your screen for you guys as well. But today we're focusing on the amp rig because the amp rig that John used for these shows is just a little bit different than what you typically expect for solo show performances. So the very first amplifier is a Dumble Overdrive Special, this beautiful silver panel one that is 50 watts. And this amplifier was always paired with the 2-Rock 212 cabinet. Now this 2-Rock 212 cabinet is a bit more old school and one of the more original ones that they made, where the logo is actually on a small plate and placed at the very top of the speaker cabinet. The amplifier that John paired the Dumble Overdrive Special with is his 2-Rock Custom Reverb Signature version 1 number 83. This is just a special version 1 custom reverb signature that 2-Rock built for John way back during the John Mayer Trio era. This amplifier was also paired with another more original 2-Rock 212 cabinet. Now this is where things get just a little bit different compared to what we'd see normally for a solo show performances and amp rig setups. John normally would pair the Dumble Overdrive Special with his 1964 Fender Reverb with the JBL speaker in it. Worth noting that the Reverb did have a JBL speaker in it, however, it was being ran through an Alessandro 212 cabinet the entire time. And then at some point during the second leg of the solo tour, the JBL speaker was actually removed, and we can just see this because the JBL speaker cone is very visible through the grill cloth. That's just the tell of what speaker is actually in that Reverb. And then recent shots we've had of it on the second leg, it's gone. So for whatever reason, that speaker was removed. However, for Blue Note Tokyo, we got instead this 2-Rock being paired with Dumble Overdrive Special. Now, one thing I think we just need to acknowledge is how great this amp rig looks. Both of the amplifiers don't have a large logo on the front of the heads, which just makes everything look a little bit cleaner. And then you have both of the old school 2-Rock cabinets with the small logos at the top. Overall, just aesthetically, a very pleasing amp rig to look at. Now, it's at this point in the video you're probably wondering, well, what speakers is John using in those 212 2-Rock cabinets? During the actual solo tour, the 2-Rock cabinet that sits under the Dumble Overdrive Special, from this one shot that we have, appears to be loaded with Jensen NEOS. This is the only shot of those cabs that we actually have where you can remotely try and guess as to what speakers John is using, but I'm willing to bet those are Jensen NEOS and probably what he's using in the Overdrive Special from these shows as well. Just makes the most sense. Same speaker cabinet, same speakers within them. Unfortunately for the 2-Rock cabinet that the 2-Rock Custom Reverb Signature number 83 sits on, we just have no way of knowing for 100% certainty what speakers John would actually be using in that cabinet to pair with that 2-Rock. We just don't have a shot of the back of it, so unfortunately, your guess really is as good as mine. Now, while John's amp rig for the solo tour was always comprised of that Dumble ODS and Fender Reverb combo, the 2-Rock Custom Reverb Signature number 83 actually sat behind those two amplifiers in what we can only assume was a backup amplifier capacity. That said, however, it is obviously possible that at one point or another during the tour, we actually heard that 2-Rock being used, maybe ran through the Alessandro cabinet instead of the Reverb. If that amplifier was given them some trouble, who knows, maybe when the JBL speaker got removed, they were also doing some repairs to it. It's impossible to say, but just worth mentioning that 2-Rock did live in behind those two other amplifiers during the solo tour and was definitely thought of in the mixture of another amplifier John could possibly use. Of course, now for Blue Note Tokyo, it's actually one of the main amplifiers. One other thing that I think is just worth pointing out when it comes to this specific amp rig of John's for Blue Note Tokyo is normally these solo tour shows see the 50-watt Dumble Overdrive Special paired, of course, with the 40-watt Fender Reverb, but this time we have the 100-watt 2-Rock Custom Reverb Signature version 1 with that 50-watt ODS. Now, 2-Rocks sound great just at any volume, and it also is worth pointing out that this Custom Reverb Signature V1 is actually switchable between 100 watts and 70 watts, which is a little bit different than the modern 2-Rocks like the traditional clean, for example, where you can switch it from 100 watts down to 50. John's probably running it at 100 watts, but a slight mismatch in terms of wattage here. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference either way, especially because John's only performing a couple of songs on electric guitar, if that, during these smaller solo shows, and he just in general doesn't need that much firepower. But just something that I thought was worth pointing out, that normally for the trio shows or a lot of John's shows in general, you'd see a 100-watt Dumble paired with a 100-watt T-Rock, and then maybe a Fender Bandmaster or something else thrown in the mix as well. But you get at least two very high headroom amplifiers, where that 50-watt ODS just doesn't quite have that headroom that a 100-watt ODS like John used during the Trio and the Continuum era, for example, just would have. Something I thought that was worth pointing out. But overall, a bit of a unique amp rig. I'm curious to see if John's going to continue to use this for the third leg of the solo tour in Europe. And of course, I'll update you guys on the channel with what he's using as always when we get some shots of that stuff coming out. But anyways, you guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Go and check out my breakdown of John's pedal board for these performances if you haven't already as well. Again, it'll be linked in the description down below. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you on the next video.
Anyway, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you like what you see.